So you then get thrust into a big organisation.
I also think this is something that businesses have lost. I think there was genuinely a period where businesses, the finance, HR, bureaucratic apparatus was sufficiently deprived of information and powerless, so that the way the business worked was that the practitioners worked out how to add value, and then the other people worked out how to make money out of it, okay? In that order. And I think we've created a business environment where the people who count the money, okay, effectively start determining what value is. Okay? And to them, what is value is what makes money. And therefore, they encourage the business to do more of what makes money, okay, and less of what doesn't make money. But the actual customer value being created isn't necessarily where the money's being made. I used to give this sort of slightly politically incorrect analogy, which is, someone from a consulting firm, apparently not very far from here. I've never been, I promise. But in Soho, there are bars where you pay £100 for a bottle of champagne, which is actually cider masquerading as champagne. So sparkling cider, and someone with not many clothes on comes and sits next to you and makes a fuss of you, okay? Well, if you're not careful, you go into a business like this and go, well, I don't really understand what's going on here, because we have this incredibly profitable bar business, but then we have these girls who seem to be a complete overhead, okay? But no one's paying $100 for your goddamn cider, okay, in the absence of the other. And I think, in ad agencies, what makes money, we're paid by the hour, is time-consuming processes. What adds value may, in some cases, be a 20-second insight, flash of insight.
It's in putting this through a food and drink lens, like for charity.
Well, you see, this is why I love the restaurant business.
But also
analogy, in a way, understanding the quick service restaurant business and the restaurant business, and they're sort of different, but they're connected, is a brilliant kind of comprehensible metaphor.
But it's also, I've got a thing where for food and drink brands going into retail, right, is you can't understand the one without the other. Whereas people
who discovered that weird Japanese thing, which is like peanuts and chili.
Yeah, that's why I sent you. I didn't discover it.
It's absolutely sensational, isn't it? Luckily, Harvey Nichols sells it.
Yeah, I can get you.
I'd be begging you for another $5 shards.
They've just got another.
What's it called?
It's called White Mouse It.
That's it.
Yeah, so so they are they're genius because they've.
Has it always existed?
It's always existed. They're based in Ireland. So he was at this Bread and Jam last week, Lorcan. He's a good mate of mine. But they've gotten some new flavours, like a smoky chili oil, which is just, oh, man, I see it on a Chinese. I was like sodomizing that last night on Sunday night with some leftover Chinese and duck. It was just sensuous.
It proves everything.
It does everything. Yeah. Quite literally everything. But sorry, my point is when the analogy of we can just call it maybe a gentleman's club where you have you're paying for the booze and that looks like one thing, and then you're actually the value is the topless lady, right? With food and drink brands going into retail, is you can sometimes think, I always say the COGS, i.e. the cost of producing the product, right?
Yeah.
That is actually a marketing spend, not a cost of goods. But if you're looking at an Excel spreadsheet, you think, oh, these are the cost of
course.
But actually, if the product tastes shit, then no one's going to come back and buy it again. Whereas what people do is they separate, right, we're going to spend this much on commercials, say it's just 10 grand, put numbers out thin air, right? And that is going to drive that many Facebook ads and that many shoppers to store. They'll come into the store, they'll buy this Diet Coke. If it tastes like shit, they ain't coming back. Whereas they took 7 grand out of that and put it into making the product taste better, right? Then they may not be able to get as many people coming back short term, but the people will come back in, buy it, like it, and tell their friends about it.
That's one really useful thing, by the way, about loyalty programs in supermarkets, or indeed if you're a Ocado.
Yeah.
Longitudinal customer data, which is how many people are buying the damn thing is not very valuable information. How many people are repurchasing it is really valuable information. So I always make the distinction. I always say, look, if you want to spot a trend, spot a thing that a few people are doing repeatedly. That has the potential to become air fryers. Nobody who had an air fryer ever went back, right?